I'm your host Sean Chan, and joining me today is none other than Dawnee, a dear friend of mine and also a professional wake surfer who was ranked world number 5 in 2023's Competitive Wake Surf Association. A remarkable achievement for someone who started on this journey just 2 years ago. She talks to us about finding balance between elite wake surfing and a professional career, specifically unveiling her strategies for attaining a healthy and stable mindset both on and off the water. Join me in welcoming the remarkable Dawnee as we dive deep into her world of wake surfing, creativity, and the pursuit of balance.
I really want to get to the down and nitty gritty of this, of how you started and why wake surfing is, the newfound passion and how you got so good, right? So perhaps you can tell me a bit more about how it all started.
So as you know, I disappeared during COVID from uni. You guys never saw me again. I went back home to Hong Kong, and there wasn't really anything to do because of COVID and all the regulations and stuff. And so the only thing that people could do in Hong Kong for fun or just for leisure was going to the sea. And because nobody was really catching if anybody was wearing masks or anything on the boat and stuff like that. And so wake surfing became really, really popular in Hong Kong. And I was one of the people who tried the sport out because nothing to do.
Right. No, fair enough.
And I think it all just started from there. The funniest thing was I wanted to try, but I didn't actually take the initiative to book a session or do anything like that. It was my friend who wanted to try the sport out. I was like, yo, let's go. And I was like, okay, might as well. Nothing much to do. And I think it was kind of like love at first sight.
Love at first sight.
But not in a way where it's like, oh my God, I love the feeling of this and stuff like that. But more like in such a slowed down time as COVID where everything just stopped still and nothing was progressing, it provided me with a way to progress. Because it was like, I did not get up on the first session.
Right.
I could stand, but I couldn't let go of the rope.
Right.
And so it was kind of like a challenge for me. Because I was like, I'm a relatively sporty person. I feel like I should be able to do this. Why can't I do this?
You're getting frustrated.
I was like, why?
Okay.
And so suddenly, there was a challenge that I could go and pursue. And I was like, I should be able to let go. Why can't I let go? And so I went another time a couple weeks later, and another time, and on a third session, I let go of the rope. And so I was like, this is kind of challenging in a fun way. Of course, wake surfing felt chill. Okay. You're on the water, you're just chilling out.
I've never wake surfed, so I'm counting on you to
let's go.
Let's go. Yeah, fair enough.
So it's an enjoyable sport.
Okay.
It provided me with a way to keep myself busy and thinking during COVID, which was just a hard time for everybody.
Okay.
And I think it was just a very nice coincidence.
Okay.
The whole thing.
Yeah, 100%. I think the main important difference here is that, you got good at it. You can stand up, you can do some little tricks here and there. It's fine as a hobby. But where was the point that was like, let's go pro, let's fucking do this? What, I want to know what clicked in your head, you know what? Why not? Right? I want to know when was that point for you?
So, as I said, I started out, I slowly, goal by goal, small step by small step.
Can you give us an example of what kind of goals you were setting?
So first was letting go.
Letting go, yeah.
And then after that, because me and my friends found it quite fun.
Okay.
So we just kept going, and then it was about learning small tricks carving, and then board slides, lip slides. And slowly building on from there.
Yeah.
And because everybody was posting on Instagram, right? It's cool to be out in the water, blah, blah, blah.
Especially in Hong Kong, you said it was a trend.
Yeah. So And if you can do a trick, then suddenly you're like, I'm not just,
Yeah, not just like,
I'm not just
like, yeah, okay.
And so, I mean, on a very surface level or a superficial level, like that was a nice little good to have.
Yeah.
But then, like, the more I got to know the sport more, and the more I got to know how my body was reacting to the board and the water, and like learning about such a new environment, I can say it just kind of really got my brain moving.
Okay.
And like the more I understood, the more I learned, and the more I could do, because a lot of the sport is about self-awareness, because it's not like you automatically know how to walk on water.
Right.
as a human being.
Of course.
And
I did, but I don't know about you.
Maybe.
Okay.
So it was a lot about that, and then like goal by goal, I got better, and then I could, like, I don't mean to say it like I'm better than everybody else, but like I could see that I was progressing at a faster rate.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, maybe it's like inborn talent, or maybe I just understood how this worked better.
Right.
And so there came a time where there was an online competition. So what was good about this sport? Yeah, what was good about this sport during COVID was that competitions could be run online.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So in-person competitions were banned or like postponed because of COVID, but we have something called an online competition where you have a time limit, for example, a month, and you can go and record your best run. And so it was kind of like submitting your best run at the end of the duration, and then you get judged.
Whoa.
And so this was a way of how the sport didn't stop.
Well, that's
because
cool.
of COVID.
Yeah.
And so when that happened, and I saw the opportunity, and I was like, there isn't much I'm doing anyway, so might as well give it a try, because compared to the people around me, I could see that I thought I had a chance, and I was like, why not? And it was fun to do, so let's go and do that.
Okay.
So did my first online comp, realized that this comp actually made me progress even more.
Like skill-wise, right?
Yes, skill-wise, and like learning how to train, learning how to incorporate different aspects into my run, or just about the sport in general.
Right.
Because suddenly you have a goal and you're like trying to win.
Right.
So I did that, got good results.
And then you're on to the next one.
Yeah, on to the next one, and it was a whole entire league and a whole entire season.
Yeah.
And so after the first season, I was already on a roll and everything was in place. And then I just thought to myself, like, I can go further. Because that was just the amateur league that I told you about earlier.
Okay, what made you think you could go further? Like, you knew you hadn't reached your potential yet or something like that?
Well, I was still progressing like skill-wise and stuff, but by the end of the first season, because I told you I won the final world champ for that level.
Yeah.
And so I knew that I was going up to the next category called outlaw.
Okay.
And I don't know, it just felt like a good challenge to take on, because I didn't feel like I was at a plateau yet.
Okay.
At all.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so I just kept going. And then the more you compete, and then the more time, like blood, sweat, tears, money you spend into training, and the more you kind of just don't want to give up, you know? Like you've already committed so much into the sport, and you're so far into it, so why not see how far you can take it until you can't, you know?
Oh, wow. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And so I think that's what really kept me going. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I did one more year of outlaw, and then after that, the next league was pro. So whether it means to commit to this as a career path professionally, or whether I'm just in the professional league and having a side job or whatever, I think it just means that I'm seriously committed. I don't really like to label things like, oh, I'm only doing, like, I'm a professional wake surfer. Like, I don't want to put that label on myself, because like I can do other things as well.
Right. we are humans, we're multifaceted, you know, it's...
Yeah, and so I think I would just call myself a really seriously committed wake surfer.
No, I like that. Yeah,
you know?
I like that. I like that.
I don't like to close off all doors.
No,
I'm just gonna.
I think you mentioned up a good point, because there is the idea of being labeled in this society, like, oh, Dawnee's the professional wake surfer. Oh, Sean's like the photographer. But in reality, we are much more than that. Right? You do so much more. If I'm talking about myself, I do videos, I do podcasts, I like to travel. But I feel like in this day and age, labeling makes you like, fuck, people think I'm the photographer, okay, I can only take photos. Like there's that cycle that, you know, messes up you up, right? So
quite a lot, actually.
Exactly. Have you ever encountered something like that? Like people saying, oh my God, you're the professional wake surfer. And then, you know, has that helped you or made it harder for you?
I honestly am not really into labels at all. Because I feel like once you're labeled into something, it just locks you down and it closes doors for you.
Yeah.
And like being known as like, you know, the wake surfer, like the really good wake surfer, I wouldn't say it had much effect on me career-wise or like doing anything else-wise.
Yeah.
But it actually had quite a huge effect on me psychologically.
In what way?
I think it's pretty normal for like athletes to not always be on their A game and have downtimes and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like there are days where I don't like the sport.
Fair enough.
Like, there are days where I do not want to wake surf.
No, I do not.
Like I do not want to be there.
Right.
And I think it's so natural.
Okay.
Because, you know, humans be humans.
Yeah.
But sometimes being known as that person, it's almost like you feel like you can't not like this. And you can't not be like wake surfing is
or also if
amazing,
somebody sees you on your off day and you're like, oh my God, you're not wake surfing? Like, how can you be, right?
Or like, oh my God, why don't you love this sport? You should love this sport. Like this is your life.
Okay.
You know, and that kind of sucks sometimes.
Right.
Because I feel like we should be able to feel whatever feelings you're feeling.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And people need breaks.
Right.
I think that's very natural.
Okay.
And so it has that effect. I feel like labeling does that.
The effect that constant pressure to be on your A game, always liking the sport.
Yeah, like
right?
It's almost like, oh, you're a wake surfer, then you have to love the sport. Like there will never be a moment in your life where you do not like this. And I was like, that's not true. That's not true.
Have you overcome this feeling in any way, or are you still kind of in that?
I feel like everybody needs breaks.
Okay.
Sometimes that feeling happens to me most off season, especially after like you've been gunning for like the champ or whatever title or whatever league for the whole season, and you're traveling around the world like nonstop, going to comps and stuff, and suddenly the season's over. And like you're on a break, technically. But you can't be, because you're like, I have to be better next season. So I have these couple of months of downtime to go.
Right.
But everybody needs breaks. And it's during that time where there's a sudden drastic change in your rhythm in your life that sometimes you just don't, you just want to sleep.
I feel you.
You just want to sleep, man.
Yeah, I think that's...
And so, like, that happens most of the time, and there's no way to stop it, because it's just how it is.
Right.
It's about knowing when to take breaks. It's about knowing how to let yourself take breaks, because not everybody can accept that.
Right.
And it's knowing how to balance it out, I guess, and being okay with, like, not liking this sometimes, because it's fine.
I definitely agree with you. I think a lot of times we feel like we have to be a role model for the people who are looking. Maybe, I guess maybe not role model, but we know there are people that, I guess, look up to us in a sense.
Yeah.
And then we always have to be like happy and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's hard, right? Because sometimes
hard.
I don't want to pick up my camera. I've been shooting for the past 5 days. I don't want to pick up my camera. And maybe my family or my friend is like, yo, like, why don't you bring your camera? I'm like, it's hard to explain it to other people, because they don't
know that, and they don't know what you've been through.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And like each event in your life affects you differently.
Right, right.
I feel like just like how I go to multiple comps, and the feeling of winning one does not equate the feeling of winning another. Or like the feeling of losing one also does not equate to the feeling of losing another.
Okay.
I feel like each thing never has like a same result.
Right.
And so it's about taking each event as it comes,
Right.
digesting it, and like being aware of how your body and your mind is reacting to it, and then kind of taking it each thing one step at a time and keep going. You know?
Damn. I mean, you make it sound easy, but
It's hard.
it is hard. Yeah, it is hard. I mean,
I do not find this easy. My friends know this. I do not find this easy.
I guess we can never truly understand how much sacrifice or how much time you put in it. Like it's not just like getting on the boat and doing wake surfing. You have to wake up maybe 3, 4, 5 hours beforehand, get ready mentally, maybe physically, eat a good breakfast and whatnot. Even after the competition, you have to cool down, make sure you're properly rested. So there's a lot of factors that go into that one run or that that moment.
45 seconds.
45 seconds, exactly.
Times 2, so a minute and a half.
Damn. Damn. I'm just curious, like, have you ever, in a point of your life, thought you would be wake surfing competitively, professionally?
Hell no. Hell no.
Is it a good surprise for you, though?
Yeah. Dude, I told you before, like, you remember me in uni, right?
Right.
I don't think I can imagine myself doing anything in the water.
That's crazy.
Because back when I was like a kid and I was learning how to swim and stuff like that, like I trained for like a while.
Yeah.
But I hated it because I hated like getting ready and then like washing up and drying I hate drying.
Right.
Hate drying.
Hate drying off. Okay. Fair enough.
So like if you were to tell me that, one day I'd be going into the sea every single day for at least 2 hours.
Wow.
And then doing this, I'd be like, you're fucking crazy.
Right.
Like you will not catch me in a swimsuit. No way.
Damn.
You know?
And now your swimsuit is like your second skin. You're just like, oh.
Last year I wore more swims. Like I think I was in a swimsuit for longer than I was in clothes.
No way.
Very possibly.
Were you training like every day?
Almost. Like peak season last year, I did Mondays to Fridays, at least 2 hours a day. So at least 10 hours a week.
Holy cow.
And then on top of that, there's watching your teammates train. There's watching the other people train.
Yeah.
And like kind of having conversations with them about how you can do better and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of teammates and friends, I'm sure, teammates obviously will support you, but I was curious, did your parents support you or did your family support you in any way within this?
Yeah. Yes, I am very lucky to have parents who support me, 100%. Like they back me up in whatever I want to do. So that's good in a way, because this sport definitely isn't easy.
Right.
In terms of like barriers to entry and stuff like that.
Right.
And so they saw the potential in me and they were like, if you enjoy doing this as much as you show, then I will back you.
Wow.
And I'm like, I feel like I'm really blessed in that way. And they back me like not just in terms of like spiritually, but I'm talking about, because back then I had half a driver's license from Canada.
Okay.
I was on my end and then COVID happened.
Okay.
So I never got the full one.
Right.
So I had to wait to get my license back in Hong Kong. So for a while I did not have my license. And it's hard, like, unless you take a taxi.
Right.
Can't really go into where I go to surf called Cyclone that easily by public transport and stuff like that. And so in the summer we train early hours. Like back during peak season, most of us started at 6 a.m.
Wow.
My mom would drive me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
Damn. 6 a.m. That means you have to leave the house at 5?
No, I mean, I'm blessed to live like relatively close to that place. So probably like 5:30, 5:45.
Okay.
Or most of the time I train 8, sometimes 6, sometimes 8. So still early morning.
Right.
You know, like earlier than one would send a kid to school.
Right, definitely.
And she would do that.
Wow. We really owe it to our parents, right?
Yep. Yeah, I am very, very lucky in that sense.
And I mean, you made the most out of it, I would say. I think.
Yeah, I think one of the ways to be thankful and like grateful is to not let it go to waste, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like if they support you and they're paying so much effort into helping you do this, then the least you can do is to do your best.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That brings me to the point, like when you're competing, do you feel like it's not just for myself, it's for the people who've always been there for me. I want to show them that, I do it for them, right?
Yeah. I never like to go into a comp like gunning for results. I've always grown up like this because my parents have always taught me that results aren't always the most important thing, which is very un-Asian.
Very un-Asian.
It's very un-Asian. I'm really lucky to grow up in that environment. Like they've always told me as long as I do my best, it's okay.
Nice. Wow.
And so I kind of take that teaching into whatever I do, which in itself might stress somebody out even more than just gunning for results.
Right.
Because sometimes as long as you don't screw it up like pretty badly, like sometimes like I think I have a really good chance at this.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't like to let myself think that, because I see each competition as an opportunity to show the best that I can be. And in terms of wake surfing, it's very different showing your best and then doing something to secure a place. And so it's always a balance. It's always seeing what you can do. And I think that sometimes for sponsorships and stuff, like of course you have to secure.
Yeah.
So when I compete, if I have it like, I like to do it if I set a standard for myself, I meet it, then I start going in the direction where I'm like, I want to show what I can do.
Okay.
And like challenge myself and like maybe, there's a couple of tricks that I have learned, but I have not gotten it consistent enough, and I want to see if I can do it in a comp run.
Okay.
So that's where I try to challenge myself and be the best where I can be. But
all right. So Dawnee, I'm curious about how does creativity play into competitive wake surfing?
So it's good that you said competitive wake surfing, because I feel like that's where the biggest difference between wake surfing in general as a recreational sport.
Okay.
I think one of the most beautiful things about wake surfing is that everybody can be doing the same trick, but everybody will eventually have their own style and have their own way of doing the trick.
Okay.
And it might mean approaching it a different way, or it might mean having it look very different when it comes out or like when you execute it. I'd say bringing creativity into competitive wake surfing is one of the biggest challenges.
Okay.
Because most of the time, it is the first thing that gets abandoned.
Right.
When it comes to like securing your results or like securing like your performance. So let me give you a little bit of context about how wake surf is in a competitive run.
Okay.
So we get judged according to 4 categories within a minute and a half of performance.
Okay.
45 seconds each way in a lap.
Okay. So you guys are going in a circle or what?
No, we're going in a lap. So like go and back. 45
okay.
seconds each.
Right.
And then you get like 2 chances or 3 chances to fall depending on rules.
Okay.
And so we get judged on the dive system. So DIVE.
Okay.
D is difficulty.
Okay.
I is intensity.
Okay.
V is variety. And E is execution. And so creativity would come into aspects like IVE, like intensity, variety, and execution, because difficulty is just how difficult that trick is.
Right.
So when you compose a run, you have to make sure that your tricks are difficult enough
Okay.
and that you have enough different types of tricks so your run is all around. So when you also compose your run, you have to be aware of what your body is comfortable with. There's a rhythm that everybody is most comfortable with.
Okay. Yeah.
So maybe doing these same tricks in different orders would mean different levels of comfort for everybody else. So when you only have one chance in a competitive setting, you need to make sure that you're trained that you can perform
Right.
that one time. Because if
Okay.
you screw it up, it's gone.
It's gone.
It's not
Right.
like a 2-hour-long tennis game
Right,
where you
right,
can like,
Get it back and whatnot.
yeah,
Right.
you can't really save yourself. Like if you screw up, you screw up.
And you fall in the water and you can't just like get back up, right? You're just like kind of done for that, or
Well, you have maybe like 2 or 3 falls. So like if you fall the first time, the boat will come pick you up.
I
But
see.
still, it's like limited chances. Like
Right.
if you screw up, you screw up.
right.
And so this is also why I say creativity within competitive wake surfing is sometimes the first thing that goes out.
Because
An
they just want
athlete's
to play it
mind.
safe. Is
Yes,
that it? Okay.
because most of competing is playing it safe for us.
What is like playing it safe? Like doing like easy tricks, like tricks that anyone can do, not that creative, right? I'm assuming.
It's doing tricks that you can land,
And there's like
because it's all about landing it. It doesn't matter if you do like the biggest air
Right.
or like the cleanest whatever, but you can't land it. Because if you don't land it, it doesn't count.
right.
And also one way that athletes can bring creativity into this is by comboing tricks up.
Right.
So maybe like a very simple combo, like a board slide to lip slide to ollie. That's a combination where you do one trick right after the other in a combo.
Right. And then that adds up to more points and
That adds up to more points. That adds to your personal style. It comes into how your run looks,
right.
which is the execution part of it.
Okay.
And so that's how people get creative. But in terms of wake surfing, one of the rules is if you fall in a combination, your whole combination does not count.
Damn.
And so it's almost like
So how do we know when you're doing a combo? Like it could just be
you would not have pauses.
it's like boom, 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 boom.
Yes, like that's a combo.
Okay.
And that also means doing so many tricks in like a certain time.
Yeah.
And if you fall in one trick, then suddenly the whole entire thing gets wiped out.
Damn.
And so in a competitive setting where you're not used to the boat, you're not used to the venue, you're not used to the driver, you're not used to anything.
Play it safe.
Yes, it's so easy for someone to just be like, no,
Right.
like just let me one at a time, you know.
Do you see that often in the sport? Like everyone just do
Yeah.
one trick.
Yes, like even in myself, like I have to say I am not the most creative when it comes to competition.
Okay.
Like me in a competition setting and me on a daily basis, like when I'm having fun or when I'm trying to like
Yeah.
figure things out or like practice for different things, it's like 2 different people.
Right. It's the pressure that makes you
It's the
scared,
pressure.
right?
It's the pressure, and it's for the fact that we have a limited time to perform. You know, I think
okay.
that's one of the hardest like points that make it hard for a wake surfer to be creative in a
Right.
competitive setting. So that's why when people can show a lot of personal style
It's like
in a comp,
yeah.
I really respect them because it only means that they've spent that much longer practicing
Yeah.
and making sure that during your practice you've trained for example, that combo enough times that you're confident enough to execute it
Right.
and like take the risk of not only like one trick but maybe the risk of 3 tricks
Yeah.
in one go, you know, because that's wasted time if you fail.
Right. Yeah. I think it all comes down to that confidence, right?
Yeah, it's everything is about confidence in my competitions.
Has there been a moment where you like, fuck it, let me try this, and then it worked out well?
I think yeah, because like personally, I'd say there's a. I give myself a threshold. Remember how I said I like to do the best I can in a competition instead of like gunning for results?
Yeah.
So for me, I set myself a threshold.
What is that? What is that?
So during my run, I'd say like maybe if I land a shove in or something like that, like I somewhat am safe. I might not be first, but like if it's a heats, then I can pretty much guarantee I'm at least going into the final.
And is that like a hard skill? Is that a basic skill? Like
it's a more advanced level trick.
Okay, so if you land that, you're like, okay, I'm not last at least.
Yeah, I don't think I'm last at least.
Okay.
But like at least I have something in the bag.
Okay.
That's where I start to go off.
Ah.
And that's where I'm like, maybe I can consider and like make it the split decision to be like, I'm gonna try this trick that I've been practicing for. But I have not really like put it in a run yet, or I'm not comfortable enough to try it in a competition run yet.
Yeah.
But I'll start thinking about those things, and that's where creativity comes in.
Then we can explore and stuff.
Yeah. So it's
interesting.
It's a balance that we have to keep.
Right.
Because if you're only gunning for like the harder stuff, or like I mean, like you can do that, but then it's like really go big or go home. Like if you can actually just go home.
I never heard of the concept of setting like I guess the bare minimum. At least I got
something like that.
At least I got this. Okay, now it makes you more relaxed. It makes you more like, okay, even if I mess up after this, it's okay because I already got this, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's something everyone should learn to do. Or I don't know, maybe different people have different ways of approaching competition. But I feel like that's a good way because then you're like, okay, I set my standard. Even if nothing happens after this, you would be okay with that one move then. Is that?
Yeah, at least it would be a decent run for me.
Okay.
Like is how I think about it.
Okay.
But of course, if you talk about how to train for creativity in a run, then it's about taking the time during your sessions, going through every single possible scenario in your competition run. And it's all about that, and it's about like building that confidence. So there's more of a chance that you can do it in that 45 seconds.
Yeah.
Because it will always be different.
Yeah.
You'll never feel the same.
Damn.
And no situation will ever feel the same.
Okay.
Either. So it's all about
finding that balance.
Juggling between decisions in a short amount of time. I feel like it's the key. Yeah.
Okay. Moving away from like wake surfing, do you find that having to juggle, I guess, the risk and also the reward, has that applied to kind of other areas of your life?
I mean, yeah, I think so. I think, like if you're talking about a job,
right,
or like making a business decision,
right,
or let's not be this serious. Let's talk about like
if I want to get some.
If you're trying to eat and you're looking at the menu,
yeah,
you know, and you see a really adventurous choice, and you want to try it. You would look at it and think, I could either go big or go home, like get that.
Just get that, or
see if there are choices that are like, at least, a part of it you can stomach, or like, for sure.
Yeah,
then try it, right?
Right. I think
it's all about not putting all your
eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if I were you, I would say, okay, if I want to try this like super spicy som tam, I'm gonna order that, but also a little khao pad outside to be safe. At least I will get some food.
Yeah, at least like you're not screwed for the meal.
Okay.
Like it's all about balance.
Yeah. I like that. I think that's a good idea to grasp. Like next time I'm doing some competition or I'm doing some photography, I'm like, where's my khao pad? Where's my safety net?
I think it's all about playing it. I think it's all about being adventurous while playing it safe.
Interesting.
I think that's me as a person too.
That's good.
I think that's how I am most of the time in life.
Yeah, I mean it's a good way to live because then because I know some people who are always like
gambling
or always like, nah, I don't want to do that. Like
like playing it too safe, you never try anything new.
Exactly.
Playing it like super wild, like you can lose a lot.
Yeah.
But
I think you found your own balance. I think everyone has their own level of risk and reward.
And like what they can accept and
Yeah.
stomach, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Is there anything, I mean, we're nearing the end of this podcast. Is there anything you're looking forward to or any new goals you're setting yourself for this coming year?
I mean, this year I am pulling a balance between wake surfing and starting my professional career.
Yeah.
So I started working, and I think one of my biggest challenges this year is to see how I can still keep that wake surfing going and not have it at a standstill while balancing out starting a job, you know? Because starting a job is never easy.
Right,
Like,
right.
there's a lot of rhythmic changes in terms of my daily life routines.
Yeah.
What that does to my energy levels, like how much rest do I need, how much training can I get done around my work schedule, how does working affect how many competitions I can go to, and then how do I balance those competitions
Exactly.
and make sure that I'm qualified to, you know, go to the final one of the season,
Right.
because you need prereqs for that.
Yeah.
It's all about figuring that out for me, I feel like, this year.
That's
Like,
exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, like as much as work for me is kind of like an unknown, because I don't know how it's gonna be yet. Like at one point when I first decided that this is what this year is gonna be like, part of me was sad, because honestly last year was the best year of my life.
Oh my God.
Like, you know, like
Yeah.
you're talking about being in the sweet spot in life where you're out of uni, but you're blessed enough to be in a situation where you can commit a year to just like full send into this one sport that you really like doing.
Yeah.
And you're talking about going to different countries in the world and meeting all the wake surfers that you've only had a chance to talk to online in person finally.
It's like a dream come true.
Yeah, it's kind of like a dream come true. It's like kind of coming full circle where you're finally meeting those people and you're finally like almost like experiencing the real deal.
Yeah.
And then after a year of that, you're suddenly like, oh,
Back to reality.
you know? So like part of me is like, you know,
Yeah.
but in a way, I know that this is where the real balance lies into how I can keep my, like, this sport sustainable for me while I'm now getting my kopot. Is it kopot?
Telpa. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you
like,
go.
Like
No,
this
like
is
that.
now my actual balance.
Ah, okay. So last year you were awesome dumb.
Yeah.
This year,
I was like, yeah. let's go.
This year, like, okay, you're gonna try to order
Yeah.
like a fried rice khao pat on the side, you know, like.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
And I feel like as much as that might mean that I'm not as 100% in terms of like all the competitions I'm going to, or like I might have less time to train, but in a way that might just mean that I make even better use of the time that I have left to train. Like that makes me reevaluate things like, oh, I used to have at least 10 hours a week.
Right.
Then I can take my sweet time and I'm like, oh, if I don't land it today, I can do it tomorrow.
Right.
But now I'm like, oh, I might only get like 4 hours a week. What are you gonna do about this and still be like, you know, in a professional level?
Yeah.
Like, cause I don't wanna give up the sport yet. So, like, what are you gonna do about it? You know, like you only have 4 hours now. What are you gonna do about
It's
it?
a question you're asking yourself.
Yeah, like what are you gonna do in those 4 hours now that you have left? Like, how are you gonna push yourself to? I'm not gonna be I want to be ambitious, but I'm not gonna pressurize myself to be ambitious enough to go like, how are you gonna be better than last year? But like, I think the goal for myself right now is to be like, how are you gonna at least be the same as you were last year?
Okay, good.
Because I feel like this is the time that I had to take for myself to figure out my life now first.
Good. I like
And
that.
then I can keep thinking about how can I better myself.
Yeah, I like your mindset.
And I think that's-
I like it that it's not all or nothing, because once you have that all or nothing, you're like, fuck, it's so
Yeah,
much
because
pressure.
when you're on that roller coaster ride,
Yeah.
once you fall,
It hurts.
it hurts.
Right.
I'm not saying that like balancing out does not hurt, because it still does.
True.
It still does. Like I was more affected than I thought I would be during some competitions where I did not do what I wanted to do. And so I know how it feels to be down,
Okay.
and therefore I know it will only be worse if I was all or nothing.
Yeah, okay.
And so you know where your own balance lies and what risks you can take.
It only comes from experience, and you've experienced all these, so now you know, right? I'm sure like maybe a year before or 2 years before you wouldn't be able to like talk about these kind of stuff because you never experienced it, but now you're like, okay, don't go all in, you know, make smart decisions, balance your life, find that, you know, place where you feel most comfortable and also ambitious, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people watching this are creatives in their own aspect, and whether they're like doing it for work, doing it for a hobby, they still want to find a way to sustain it, right? So is there any way, you know, any lasting tips or tricks that you want to tell people that this is what I've done, this is what works for me in terms of finding that balance?
I think it comes down to understanding yourself.
How do you do that? Do you journal?
No, you understand by accepting.
Accepting. What do you mean?
So acknowledging your feelings.
Okay.
When things happen to you. And not ignoring them. And like try to digest them. Try to figure out, how do I feel better if I'm feeling down? Or if I feel really good right now, how to not let myself just fly off into Neverland. And slowly learning what affects me as a person and not really comparing yourself to whatever norm you feel like is.
Because there is no norm.
Yeah, there is no norm. So it's all about things that you're okay with personally, as long as it goes well with you as a person.
Okay.
It does not offend any of your moral standards and stuff like that. Like, honestly, anything's possible. Like, I don't think you should limit yourself in any way, as long as you're feeling comfortable and you know that, like, you're not doing anything illegal or something like that.
To find, I think you made a good point, to find balance within yourself.
Yeah.
Vice versa. Understand yourself. Understand why you're feeling this way, how you came to this point, how you're not gonna just lose it or you know, enjoy it too much, I guess.
And also learn to not like what you're doing.
Right.
Because you're never gonna always like what you're doing.
Damn. Damn.
Like, you're never gonna always.
That is so true. That is so true.
Like, I think it's something that people need to accept, which is my whole point.
Right.
Because there will be one day you're gonna wake up and you'll be like, I don't want to do this, and that does not mean you don't want to do this forever.
Yeah.
It means you need to take a break.
I've heard a quote that says, like, don't give up on something because of short-term pain or when you know that there's a long-term benefit. Right? Just because you don't like it today or tomorrow doesn't mean it's forever, right?
Yeah. I also actually think it's really important to know that sometimes it's okay to not have a healthy mindset. But also being sure enough in yourself that you know that your unhealthy thoughts are not permanent, and you know you have a bigger picture in mind. You know you're gonna overcome it, and you're gonna be better.
Right.
Like, having unhealthy thoughts or like having negative thoughts and stuff like that is so normal for a person. Like, I think it would be quite weird
not to have.
yeah. I don't think it'll be normal to not have these feelings, but it's about acknowledging them, figuring them out, and then see what helps you overcome them.
Right.
And sometimes logically or emotionally it might feel like, I don't think there's a way out. But like, I think even then it's important to just start writing it out.
Writing it out. Yeah. That's a wake surf term, right? You gotta write it out. Give it the shaka. Do you guys do the shaka by any chance?
I have a friend who does this all the time.
That's not a wake surf thing?
It is. It's a surf thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's about, just
writing it out.
Stop.
Okay, yeah.
Letting it happen.
Letting it happen.
Just let it happen, and then just keep hanging on. Because and know that nothing anybody else should say should be able to affect you in a way to not be yourself and to do what you know is right for you.
Yeah, I think there's, in a way, we can say that there's no normal way.
Yeah, there is no norm. There is no norm.
And if someone said, hey, Dawnee, you should feel like this. You're like,
Yeah.
no, I shouldn't. You know, I'm
I don't have
feeling.
to.
You don't know what's going on in my life.
Yeah.
I shouldn't feel what you tell me to feel.
Yeah. Or
I'm feeling what I'm
I
feeling.
sometimes have friends who come, because like a while back I was feeling pretty negative about things.
Okay.
And then I'd have friends who come like and say, Dawnee, you're so negative now.
Really?
Like, and I'd be like, I know, and I'm trying to work through it. And
Wow.
I appreciate,
Wow.
like, and I appreciate all the friends who like stand by me
Mm-hmm.
and like, or listen to me, or like try to like cheer me up.
They do
Like-
it for the better. Not that
Yeah.
they're trying to like.
Yeah.
you down, right?
It's not like it's not like I want to be a person who's negative, you know? I don't think anybody aims to be negative.
Right.
Like everybody, I think it's pretty simple. I think mainly everybody just tries to be happy or just be content. But it's about knowing that you might be negative now, but you might not be in the future. And like, how do you get from here to there?
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yeah.
being okay with being sad now because something happened and you're trying to get through it.
Yeah. So just being open-hearted, feel whatever is coming your way.
Mm-hmm.
Don't like reject or neglect any feelings because
Or
it's
don't
all
try to
important.
rush things.
Don't. Yeah.
Like if you're sad, don't try to be happy as soon as possible.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Because that just means sometimes maybe you're just covering it up.
And
it's
it'll
just
come
gonna
back
be there.
later. It's gonna
Yeah.
hit you, bite
Yeah.
you in the ass, right?
I think it's fine to take your time being sad
Right.
or being negative.
Right.
But it's about knowing clearly what your goals are, or if you don't have a goal yet, being open to whatever is coming your way and being accepting, because there is no norm. Like
Yeah.
you shouldn't not do something, or you should not do something just because,
Someone says so.
yeah, because as long as something's not like clearly wrong or illegal,
Yeah. Then it's fine.
it
It's
can
fine.
anything is you can honestly do anything.
Yeah.
And I don't think anything is, how should I say it? I don't think anything is abnormal.
Because there's no normal.
Yeah.
Like we said before. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you should just be doing whatever you feel like is right for you.
Uh-huh.
Makes you comfortable.
Yeah.
If you're feeling down and you want to, and doing something might make you feel better, then you should do it.
Good.
Or
I love it.
not do it. Whatever you want.
Hey, as they say,
If you
man.
want to sleep, you can sleep.
Hey, exactly.
You
You know, it's,
You don't have to love what you're doing every day.
True. I love that. I think that's a good way to end, and it really reminds me of the saying, you just gotta ride it out. You just gotta ride it out. Well, thank you guys this is the end of this podcast. I really appreciate Dawnee's time today because we haven't met in so long, and it's really nice to see how much you've grown
Yeah.
mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, and in every way. I think it's. I always like to catch up with people and see how they're doing, and
Same.
you are someone that, especially your mindset and your way on approaching feelings, on approaching goals, approaching careers. I think it's really healthy. I think so because it's not too pressure, but also like you know that everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
It's okay, and
I don't think one should ever put pressure on yourself,
100%.
because pressure is pretty pointless.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm excited. I mean, I'm excited to see what next year brings for me, and like how maybe it means letting some of the competition stuff go, and like
Damn.
learning how to, or just taking more time where I am now allowed to like bring more creativity into my wake surfing, because I'm not as dependent
On it.
on
Yeah.
competition,
Yeah.
I guess, now that I have something else that's not wake
That's
surfing.
good.
Like,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
excited about that, because like suddenly my life is not just 24 hours wake surfing.
Yeah.
And as much as I'm scared at first about that, because like suddenly it feels like all the fun is gone, and like I don't think I think it's pretty natural for someone who thinks work is like not great.
You think so?
But-
That's the norm. That's the standard.
Right. Like when you're thinking about working, you're like,
Nobody is like, oh my god, I love
Yeah,
to wake
yeah.
up at 9 a.m. to go to the office and sit there.
like if you had me choose, like would I go out into the
Yeah.
ocean on a boat, or would I sit in an office? Like I think it's pretty clear what I would choose. But like I'm excited to see what changes happens to me, and
yeah.
see how that plays into my wake surfing.
Sounds good. Hey, you never know. Maybe at the end of this year, you'd be like top 5 rock climber in the world or something. Like I don't know.
No, I tried rock climbing,
really?
man. No, that's
Not your thing?
it's fucked up.
Sheesh. Well, if anything, thank you so much, and
Thank you.
all the best for the future.
Dude.
There we go. Oh.
Yeah.